Hello, my name is Greg Dixon for Storyvan TV, and here we're with Betty Withrow, and we're going to talk about writing. And yeah, so maybe you can introduce yourself a bit and your company and what kind of things you do related to writing.
Sure, Greg. Thanks for having me on the show. Really appreciate it. I am Betty Withrow, as the banner says, and my company is the Writer's Launchpad. I am a book creation coach. I work with people who have always wanted to write a book, and they don't really know where to start. So it causes confusion, and basically it causes for nothing to happen, which is not a fun thing. So instead of that, I work with the clients to create a system that gives them clarity that they need and builds their momentum. It's very exciting to watch the idea take shape and the author getting elevated during the process. I'm also an editor of various books. I actually the other day I did a count. I've edited 17 books so far, and I'm about to dive into my 18th, which is a combination of editing and ghostwriting. So it's a very large project, and it's going to be super fun. I write for businesses that need copy, such as their marketing materials, their personal introductions, their blogs, their email series, their video scripts, anything of that nature. All things writing. That's what I do.
All things writing.
Mhm.
That's perfect. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what ghostwriting is. What's involved with that?
Okay. Yeah, it's amusing because I was networking with someone who is from India, and she mentioned I said ghostwriting. She said, "Oh, I love ghostwriting," and she thought I meant that I wrote in the horror genre, which I do not. And so, what ghostwriting is that I write as you, not for you. What I do with my clients is typically they have an idea of what they want to do. They may have some content that they've already developed, but it's not complete. And I often do things like have an interview, make a transcript from the interview, and then from there, build their content for them. It may involve research, like a book that I did recently for a gentleman about financial education. I had to go into some sources to find out how to write intelligently about his topic that was not a familiar topic for me. So, and in the course of that, I learned quite a bit about finance and different types of products and systems that are used. And ghostwriting is a good solution for people who sometimes a person is a great speaker, for example, and they are not a good writer. And so, one client in particular, she read me her notes, and I took her notes and in this transcript and used them to create her chapters for her and organize them into a form that made her book uh, flow nicely and and say what she wanted to say and get her point across effectively. So, so that's part of the process.
That's part of the process. And
Mhm.
it seems to me that the part of it is you get to learn about a whole pile of different things because almost every client's going to be different. They have
Mhm.
a different focus.
Yeah.
You learn how to write about things you didn't know existed before.
Isn't that the truth? Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
always an adventure.
right,
And
right. Particularly writing about financial products. I had no idea about the differences, and, it was a good education. But yeah,
yeah,
there's so many different things going on, and I get to learn from everybody that I work with. That's what makes it really a cool thing to do.
yeah. I was in a BNI meeting years ago, and then what they did is they had everybody's card in a bag, and
Uh-huh.
you picked out somebody's card, and you had to do the other whoever's card that was. You had to do their presentation. They said, "Let's see if you've been paying attention." Right.
Wow.
So, so
Yeah, that's a test. I'll put you on the spot or what? Wow.
I was always doing somebody else's presentation anyway because I wasn't a member. I was just as I think I went to about 200 meetings as a substitute.
Oh, really? I didn't know they did that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that was because the thing, and they had to. You paid a big whack of money, and then you had to promise that either you or a representative was at every meeting, right?
Yeah.
So there was another woman named Tamara, and I joked one time, says one or sometime around Christmas, it's just going to be you and I pretending to be everybody else.
Wow. Yeah, this is the joy of networking, showing up even when you're not there. Oh, wow.
even when you're not there. And it was it's sometimes it's easier to present somebody else's things than your own.
That's true. A lot of people find that presenting themselves is really, really difficult, and like for instance, their business biography. They're just tearing their hair out. How can they do this? How can they do this? Because we're conditioned to not want to talk about ourselves. And so when I write a business biography, I kind of interrogate and go, okay, well, I have 10 or 12 questions. And so who are you? What do you do? What do you do for fun? What's your most, your best quality, et cetera, et cetera. And then I get a flavor of what the person is really like. And so I can, uh, write that up for them. But yeah, doing somebody else's presentation, that sounds like fun, actually.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
And that's in a way that's when you're writing in somebody's voice, that's what
Mhm.
you're doing is you're
Yeah.
people probably don't know this, but many of the famous people that you read in magazines and things don't write their own things. They're people like you writing in their
Yeah.
voice, right? So
Right, right, right. That's the essential trick of it all is to like I say, I write as you, not for you. I mean, I had this one client that I write for who I'm doing her social media, and her husband said, "What a great post, honey!" And then she had to confess that. Well, it
I
was
wish
really
I had
cool.
said that.
I was like, "Success! We made that work."
Yeah,
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I think there are certain prominent people who have a book out there, and some people will ask them about their book, right?
Mhm.
Oh, really? I said that. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, but even if you don't write your own book, that will still happen. I mean, I was joking with another author about this, about how people go, "Oh, I love what you said in your book," and he's like, "I haven't read my book for 4 years. I have no idea what I said." You know? And that's happened to me too. I love when you came out with that idea, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, can you explain a little bit more, please? Because I don't remember." You know?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some people who don't read their own books.
Mhm.
I knew a famous jazz musician, and he made it a point never ever to listen to his own music after it was out. Once it was out, he just never. And he was in
Mhm.
a restaurant once. Hey, that's pretty cool. Oh, it's me.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, it's true, and I mean, especially when you're a pro in the industry, you don't wanna look at your own work all the time. Like, a friend of mine is a professional actress, and, people will come to her about some TV show that she was in and go, "I love that in that episode," and she's like, "I've never looked at it.
yeah. No,
Why
quite
would
a
I
few
watch
actors
it when
won't.
I was in it?" You know?
Yeah,
And
and
then you don't wanna go back.
you don't want to go back. And also, I think when they're in the process of filming,
Mhm.
you don't know what it's gonna look like at the end, really,
Right.
and it could be horrifying or whatever.
Yeah, 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 and I mean, it's enough to go through it once without then having to witness it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
Margaret Atwood wrote The Handmaid's Tale, right? And,
Mhm.
in an interview one time, she said she never imagined that it would be current, topic
Right.
material. And she also said, because she's a producer on the series, right? And
Mhm,
she said,
mhm.
the most inconvenient thing for a production is that the author is still alive. Says, I try not to be annoying. It's really their creation. It's based on what I wrote, but it's really theirs.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. I'll keep that in mind because I have a client whose book is gonna be going to be pitched because it's just so brilliant, and I'll remind her of that,
Yeah, yeah,
you need to stay out of the way.
to
Yeah.
stay out of the way because it's not like yeah, if you've written a novel and it ends up being a movie or a stage play
Mhm.
or something else, it's a different medium, and
Yeah,
what worked on the page won't work on the stage.
that's true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
And
but
vice versa, like what I was saying about a speaker who speaks really well, but is just not a writer.
yeah,
It goes.
a lot of people are doing what you're saying. is they won't write anything down, so they'll dictate it,
Yeah.
and they get somebody to make some sense out of it.
Right.
Yes.
That that's
Put a
that's one of the
put
things I do is,
yeah.
I had one project that was really difficult. It was very emotional content, and I told the woman, just dump it out. Don't even try to figure out where it goes in the book. Dump it out into the transcript, and since we have our chapter outline, then I can put it where it goes. Just get it out
Yeah.
of your body, get it out of your head, and move on. So yeah,
Yeah, that's really good advice. Yeah. Just to get it down, get it there, and then you can organize it and edit it later.
right.
So, yeah. So,
Number one, do not self-edit.
oh yeah, well, yeah, I could use an editor sometimes. I write fast and I don't always read it, and I say, oh, that was that was bad.
But that's good. That's really what I recommend is just keep writing and let the editor figure it out.
Yeah, the editor figure it out.
Hmm.
And as you were saying about, just write and, get them to just dump it out.
Hmm.
Studies have shown that the more you write, the better the quality gets. Like
That's right.
if you're sitting there second guessing every single word you write, it's going to take you 100 years to write something, and it would have been better if you just dumped and
That's
then
right.
and then went
Absolutely right. Yeah.
and then went back and found the gold. A lot of bands do that. They just get in the stage in the studio and they just write stuff, whatever ideas they
Hmm.
put together, and then later on they says, "Oh, I think I did something yesterday that was kind of cool. Let's go back and listen to it." Right,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
next thing you know, it's a song.
Yeah. Right.
And yeah,
Yeah. It's letting it be alive instead of trying to make it perfect right now. You know,
yeah,
perfection is perfection is not real except in our minds anyway. So, there's a saying, done is better than perfect.
done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And nothing probably is like that more than a book. I think a lot of people have had the book that's almost been done for decades.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And then other people said, let's write a novel on the weekend." So
Yeah. Yeah. And everything in between.
yeah,
Yeah.
everything in
You're
between.
kind of making me go, yeah, I have two books on the burner, and they take their time in their own way. And then there's comes a point where you just got to go, okay, here it is.
Yeah, here it is.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
and sometimes something that you thought was one book is actually two or three books at once, and they just want
Oh,
to build
sure.
into those other books.
Yeah, I think especially now where shorter can sometimes be better.
Hmm.
Maybe they originally thought it was going to be 200-page book or something, but now it might be better as three shorter books,
Yep.
uh, and something that's digestible.
Right. Yeah.
From somebody who studied Russian literature, I've got like War and Peace, the Brothers Karamazov.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sure you can advocate for the shorter pieces of writing at
Yeah,
that point. Yeah,
yeah. Though it's different. 10 pages of Dostoevsky is harder to get through than 100 pages of Tolstoy. I just have to say.
well, God bless you. I could have never done that. I tell you, it's just not me. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's outrageous. Now, did you ever actually study Russian as a language?
Um, Well, I was thinking of studying Russian and going to do comparative literature. And
Mhm.
I told that to some friends who spoke Russian,
Yeah.
and they said, well, you need to learn Russian through vodka and food. So they organized a party, and then they brought a bunch of got real Russian vodka,
Hmm.
and they cooked a bunch of dishes, and they played a bunch of Russian folk tunes. We
Uh-huh.
had a good time. My Russian didn't improve.
Right, right. And one time I was on a plane with a woman who did quite a bit of business in Russia, and she said they don't want you to speak Russian when you're in the business environment. They want to learn English and converse in English. But then she said, and what broke the ice was, like you just said, vodka and music. When she learned the songs and sat around and drank with them and played guitar and sang, all of a sudden they just love her, and the dam broke and everything started to flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was sort of a famous Canadian interviewer was interviewing the ex-president of Mexico, and he's talking about drinking vodka, and with the president of Russia,
Uh-huh.
and they and one of the things is that the Russians it's kind of a truth serum, right? It's like you can't lie very well when you're drunk, so they
Right.
get you drunk so that they can tell
Right.
you'll let the secrets slip. So,
Yeah, yeah, and then you have to wonder, well, who remembered what I said? See, that would be the more awkward part of it.
yeah, who remembered? Yes, there we go.
Yeah,
We never had this conversation.
right. If it's not taped, it didn't happen, right? Oh
Yeah,
boy. Yeah, yeah.
and
Well,
I
I
think
I love writing, and I love everything about communication. No, that's my thing, and so, the nuances of language are fascinating to me. Actually did study Russian for about 6 months in the first pilot program where I ever came to the United States during the Cold War, and it's a great language. It's so simple. Grammatically, it's just wonderful. But then we moved, and no more Russian. So
yeah, well, it helps that all the if you will get past the characters, you can pronounce it, right?
right.
Unlike English and Irish.
Yes, exactly. That's what I mean by being a logical language. It is what you see is what you get. If it says da, you say da, and that's it.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. I know. It's just like yeah, English is kind of a kitchen sink from all sorts of languages.
Yeah, it is. It is, and that's one of the things that actually makes English fascinating to me. As a young language nerd of about 8 or 9, I was really into studying the origins of the words because we would get a sheet of words that we had to memorize for our spelling test, and then we had a spelling bee also. And so I really wanted to know where did these words come from and what were the spelling rules that governed each language of origin so that I could win the spelling bee. Because I had a fierce rival in a young man who was of Ukrainian origin, and he was the first person in his family to learn English and go to public school. And we went head to head every week. It was tough. I didn't always win. I'm just telling you. But so where the language came from, and there's so many points of origin for these different words. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah. I somewhere in a locker, I have the Oxford English Dictionary, the compact edition.
Oh yeah.
Saying, yeah. Do you ever watch Jeopardy?
I have watched Jeopardy in the past, but I'm TV free at this time.
Yeah. Anyway, there was somebody on there, Amy Schneider, who had won, I don't know, 15 times in a row, big
Mhm,
whack of money. One of the, I think she's fourth overall.
mhm,
And she used to play the trivia games with her mother
mhm,
when she was a kid, but they wouldn't just be satisfied with knowing what the answer was. They tracked the etymology of every single word.
mhm.
So they went deep on everything.
Yeah,
And it showed in the show because she just knew all sorts of stuff. You said, how does somebody know that?
right. Because that's what they chose to pay attention to,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, that's funny. So if somebody wants to work with you, it sounds like people can work with you in all sorts of ways, just from like a copywriting point of view, from writing blogs, writing websites, helping editing, and also up to creating a book. And I think I even mentioned video scripts too. So
Yes. Uh huh.
yeah,
Yeah.
so anything involving words, right?
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I call myself a word nerd, and I
A
actually
word.
have a Facebook group called Word Nerds. If you're watching and you're a word nerd, come and join the fun.
Yeah. And I see there are a couple of places people can contact you here. There's LinkedIn's probably one of the best ones.
Yeah, LinkedIn is good. It has all my contact information right there on my listing, my website, and all my stuff, even my phone number.
Even your phone number. There we go. And
Usual nowadays, but if I don't like what you're saying, I'll hang up.
yes. Here's a quarter. Phone somebody who cares.
Right.
Anyway, here's your LinkedIn. I'll just show it on the screen here. Your LinkedIn page,
Thank you.
so
Yeah.
you can get an idea. The Writer's Launchpad,
Hmm.
and so I think I gather your main thing is just to contact you to discuss whatever it is they might have in mind.
Right.
And then,
Whatever exactly. I offer a 30-minute consultation to find out what's going on.
yeah, what's going on?
Mhm.
Okay, now that's fabulous. And one of the reasons I was interested is because we're sort of resurrecting this Tell Your Story Productions, and
Uh-huh.
so we're probably going to enlist you to be a resource for if people are interested in writing, ghostwriting, and even maybe the video scripting things. We'll get you involved with that.
Great.
Yeah, and you also introduced me to a friend who's the book designer, because I understand you take everything from a book, all the editing, all the words, all the
Mhm.
stuff to the layout, and then you work with somebody else who do the final book design, and
Mhm.
then it gets published where people want to publish it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. I'm doing extensive research on different resources for publishing, and that yeah. So my role is the word person, and then my associate does. She's really good, and she does all that other stuff. Like the one of the points is that you want the cover to flow naturally into the interior of the book, so that it just all comes together. So
yeah,
yep, yep.
that's great.
Mhm.
And well, thank you very much for coming along. And we're going to play this little intro video again, and
Okay.
you can stay on the line, and we can chat a bit more. With any luck, I'll get the timing right.
Okay.
It's always fun.
Life is the grand experiment. Thanks for
Life
having
is
me on the show, Greg.
yeah, okay.
It's fun. Yeah.
Okay.